Bellissimo, and all the way back in February, I was lucky enough to go on a trip to London with my family. I did vlog the whole trip, but as soon as I got back to Colorado, the contract for my debut novel was ready to sign, and then ever since that moment, it's been this whirlwind of edits and marketing and social media and preparing for my debut that I just really haven't had the time to go back over the footage and edit it down into kind of a comprehensive video until now. So without any further ado, here is my vlog of a writer in London. After a transatlantic flight, I landed in London with my sister and we took the Heathrow Express to our hotel. I was able to sleep a little bit on the plane, but the goal of the day was not to give in to the jet lag. So while our hotel room was beyond beautiful and the comforting beds were calling to us, we instead got a little refreshed, packed our day bags, and headed to a place to work. My sister is a historian and had an appointment to research an old manuscript at the Wellcome Library, so I went with her. She got to go into a super cool private reading area because she is an official academic. I, on the other hand, headed into the public reading room to get my own work done. As you will see here, I journaled for a bit and then did a ton of brainstorming. After working for several hours, we got some caffeine and headed back to the hotel. I put on a terrifying face mask to help my skin recover from the long travel day, and then, still trying to avoid the allure of bed, we went to the hotel lounge to read. Once it was a more rational hour, I retired to my room and unpacked for the trip and got ready for a very anticipated night of rest. Big plans for day 2 of this trip. I was going to go a garden mint for apothecaries so that I could do research, but I decided to walk around Regent's Park first and ended up becoming completely mesmerized by the place. After several hours of walking, I got a quick bite to eat at a cafe and read some more.
Thank you so much. Enjoy.
That evening, my whole family and I went out for dinner and a show. We got pasta, and then we saw a play called The Infield Haunting. And my former Doctor Who loving heart was in for a nice surprise.
Oh my god, it's Catherine Tate!
The play itself was enjoyable, but ultimately a little sad and very scary. I screamed multiple times. Afterwards, we went walking the night streets of London. And I was starving, so I made everyone stop so I could get a hot dog. I didn't leave the hotel for most of day 3. My sister went back to the Welcome Library for her research, and I stayed in the lounge at the hotel with my mom as we brainstormed ideas for my website. My mom spent hours with me teaching me how to use the website builder to create an author site I would be proud of. If you would like to see the results of our work, go check out wallacekinney.com.
I just spent like 5 hours looking at a computer screen, doing admin stuff, and designing my website. And the jet lag is starting to get to me, so I'm going to return to my room and maybe take a little nap before we go out for the evening.
This was a bit of a fatal decision as I woke up quite groggy and not at all hungry for dinner. My sisters shared several incredible dishes of Indian food, and I only had room for a mango lassi. It was delicious though. Our second play of the trip was one called The Unfriend, and again, my Doctor Who heart was surprised as it was written by Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat. This play started strong, but then really devolved in the second act. There was, I'm not even joking, a several minutes long joke about poop and dissecting poop. It was awful. It was awful. The audience loved it though. Everybody was laughing, and my family and I were all just sitting there in horror.
Platform 17 for the 1832 Southampton service to Brighton. Fast.
Day 4 took me away from the city of London. I said farewell to my family and hopped on a train to go see another author tuber, Marta. We got together for brunch and just chatted up and talked about life. This is a tradition of ours. We've been doing it for several years. I go to London semi-frequently. Whenever I'm in town, she and I always meet up. When I got back to the city, I walked around a neighborhood I had lived in while studying abroad and then visited this beautiful stationery store. I also went into a gaming store and bought these tabs for my Dungeon Master's Guide for the Blank Page Tavern. Then I worked for a few hours at the hotel before we again headed out. This night we saw the play The Mousetrap, which is one of the longest running plays on the West End, I believe, written by Agatha Christie. I really enjoyed it. Day 5 was an incredibly busy day. I was on the train again, heading to Bath to meet up with a friend I met on the Camino de Santiago in Spain. We got brunch together and it was such a wonderful meetup. I got to tell her all of the exciting news about my publishing journey, which was crazy because when we had met on the Camino, I had been at rock bottom in terms of my mental health. I was basically unable to write, feeling totally hopeless about the state of the world and really uncertain about whether or not a future even existed. So to get together with her again about 6 months after our first meeting and get to tell her all this incredible news and also see all of the goals she had achieved and the amazing things that had happened in her life since we walked together, it was so special and I'm so glad I got to do it. And I wouldn't trade it for anything, even though it literally took me so long to get back to London from Bath because the train line flooded, and I don't have any footage of this because I was literally holding some woman's baby. Like, she had a stroller and we were all jammed into, I can't believe I'm rambling about this, but we were all jammed into the back of the train because the trains were flooded and super delayed, and they were like, just get on whatever train you can. And so I'm on this train with this lady and she's struggling with her pram, and I offered to hold her baby and I'm holding this baby. Again, I wasn't vlogging any of it, but it was an insane insane train ride back into London. But make it back I did, with about 15 minutes to spare before the doors opened for my family's 4th theatrical excursion, a matinee showing of the Cruel Intentions Jukebox musical. So we had seen an earlier version of this musical at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2019, I believe. So it was really, really cool to be able to see it again, but this time in a dedicated stage, a dedicated theater with amazing production. The cast was fabulous. I love the movie Cruel Intentions. I'm so nostalgic for it. I mean, it's like terrible, but also it's so good. And the music that they picked for this musical is fabulous. So if you are a late 90s, early 2000s kid, or you have a nostalgia for that time period, highly, highly recommend this show. I went straight from this theater to a delicious ramen restaurant. I met up with Malin, my second meetup for the day, and my second author tuber of the trip. She also took me to this super cool wine bar where the wine is in the walls and dispenses out of this little machine. I was fascinated. It was so awesome to meet up with Marta and my friend from the Camino and with Malin, because other than my family, no one really knew the exact details of my publishing deal. So it was super fun to be able to tell these 3 people in person and celebrate with them and just have a great time. This was the final day of the trip, and I decided not to do any work on this day. I just wanted to spend as much time with my family as I could, especially because the day before I had really been away for most of it. My mom and my sisters and I all decided to go window shopping and head into some designer stores just to peek around. I always love trying on the really loud pieces that are just inherently not my style, but so fun to look at and appreciate. After a morning and afternoon with my mom and sisters, we headed to the Goring Hotel to meet my dad for tea.
Welcome to the Goring Hotel. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
It was definitely one of the most glorious teas I've been to. Every detail was lovely, every menu item delicious, definitely adding it to my top 5 places for tea in London.
We have the famous coronation chicken sandwich with raisins, smoked salmon sandwich with cable cream cheese on a beetroot bread, in the middle egg mayonnaise sandwich with watercress, honey roast ham sandwich with mustard mayo, and the last one brie with onion marmalade. If you'd like to have more sandwiches, let us know. You can have as much as you like.
Excellent.
And that was it. After the tea, we headed back to the hotel. We packed, we had one last family dinner. My sisters and I hung out for a while before we all went to bed. We had a really early flight the next morning, and it was so long London. Overall, I definitely think it was one of the more successful trips my family have taken to London. I left with a new website design, so many ideas, wonderful memories with my friends and my family. It's such a special city, and going there as a writer looking for inspiration, I really just had an absolute blast, and I cannot wait to get to go again. But until then, go be happy, go be healthy, and go write. Bye.